Hello, welcome to Bentley's Backwoods Bushcraft. This is Richard, and today we are going to make a Ridgeline so that I can have it available for a tarp tent or my hammock or whatever I decide to use it for. But it doesn't take much to pre-make a Ridgeline. There's a few knots and things I want to deal with today. So I have this tool bench diamond braided rope, 40 feet, got from the Dollar Tree, and this tool bench paracord, 25 feet, also from the Dollar Tree. And we're going to make a Ridgeline out of the diamond braided cordage, and we are going to make some prissy knots out of this paracord. So let's get started. Okay, so let's begin by first taking this 40 feet piece of cordage, and we'll just set down the 25 feet paracord, stick it in my back pocket real quick. All I'm going to do is unravel this stuff, and when I do that, get the bug off of me. We'll begin by taking each end of the 40-foot rope, and I'm just going to make a loop about yay big. I'm going to roll my fingers around that, put it back through itself, and make a knot just like that. Now, just to ensure that it stays, I'm going to take that lighter that I found yesterday on my little trip. I'm just going to melt that in there. Now that we have the two loops, I've picked up two sticks off of the ground, and what we're going to do is simply take one of these loops, wrap it around the tree. We're going to take the cordage and place inside that loop, stick our stick in that loop, and then just tighten down. Just like so. And then we can leave that there. We go to the other tree and do the same thing. Now we're at the second tree, which happens to be at this point 25 feet away. And this is going to be a pretty good distance. I don't like my trees being this far apart when I'm working on something in the woods, but because this is just practice, it doesn't really matter how far away it is. We are going to take our cordage and we're going to wrap around the tree, and I'm going to pull it tight. There we go, we pull that tight. Now, from here, I'm going to go over, under, and pull tightly. And then I'm going to go around the tree. There we go, so we're around the tree. Now what I'm going to do is take my tag in, and I'm going to make a loop. I'm going to reach through the loop down onto the cordage, the Ridgeline, and I'm going to stick the stick in between that, and then I'm going to tighten it. I'm going to make sure it stays tight the whole time, and then pull tightly, and there we are. Now, for me, I like to do that a second time. Loop, pull it through. Now what I'm going to do is when I pull it through, I'm going to pull them into itself. I'm going to stick them on each end of that stick and then tighten that down. And that right there will keep it nice and taut. Now all I got to do with the rest of this is just loop it, make a couple loops, and then I can just stick it onto that stick, and then it stays nicely right there. Now we have pretty decent Ridgeline, and I can tighten that up at any time I want. And there it is. Again, let's remove all this. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a loop I'm going to reach in and it's going to go over the ridge line. And then both ends of this loop is just going to lay over. And at that point, that's when I stick my stick in there and tighten it up. Just like that. Now I like to once again make another loop, lay the loop through here, and then I'll continue through, all the way through. Alright, let's do that again. Once I have that on there and tightened in, I like to once again make another loop and then lay that over the ridge line. Now I'm going to take the left side, push it through, and then that way the original right side will be on the left and go over the stick, and vice versa. And then I can tighten that down, and that makes a very nice secure knot. That's just how I do it. That's just one way that I do it. I've got several different ways that I do it, but that's how I do it. And so let's take a closer look at that real quick, and you can see how it looks once it's complete. And there you go. And then there's the ridge line, which goes 25 feet. And then I just take my slack remaining, just loop it. I'll sit it on the stick. And it just sits there nicely. And then my end that has the actual loop on it, I just stick that on the stick, and there we go. That secures it, keeps it tight, keeps it together, and it doesn't dangle. And there we are. Now we have our ridge line set up. So now let's get the other cordage out. Now we're going to use 550 cord, paracord, and we're going to create a few pristic knots, and we're going to put those on this line. Now here I'm going to measure out a foot. Doesn't have to be precise. As a matter of fact, nothing I ever do is exact and precise and consistent. So, but anyway, we're going to cut a piece about a foot long, and then we're going to burn each edge. There we go. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Then what we're going to do is we are going to take both of these edges, both ends, put them together, and we're just going to tie a simple little knot. To make a loop, and we're going to tighten that down. There we go, just like such. So now we should have about a 6-inch loop here. Probably a little bit smaller since the knot, but that's fine. I think that'll work. If not, we'll make some bigger. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take the loop, and it's going to place over, lay on top of the ridge line. I'm going to take the knot end, and I'm going to stick it through the loop 2 times. And then I'm going to pull down. Just like this. And there's our pristic knot. So let's take a closer look at this knot again. We're just going to take our loop, and we're going to place it over the ridge line and lay it on there. We'll pull down on both ends. And what we'll do is we'll take the knot and we'll stick it through the loop 2 times. Then we'll pull on the knot, and there is our pressing knot. Now let's look at it from the other angle so you can see the front end. So now let's look at it from the other angle. So I'm going to lay the loop over the ridgeline, and I'm going to take my knot and stick it through the loop 2 times, and then pull down. There. And there is a pressing knot. Now the beauty of this is I use this to attach to the tarp and whatever else, and it moves very nicely along this ridgeline until pressure is placed on it, and then it won't move. So I'm going to make 3 or 4 of these. I'll say 4. I'm going to make 4 of these, 2 for this end, 2 for the other end, and attach them to the line, and we'll leave them on there when we take this down and roll it up, so that we have the pressing knots on here and ready to go. So now I have 2 pressing knots here. And 2 pressing knots here on the ridgeline. So now I can take the ridgeline down, I can roll it up, and when I'm ready to use it, I just pull it out, place it on 2 trees. I have the 4 pressing knots there and ready for me to use when and whenever I want, and if I need to make more, I can make more. Okay, so now I have my ridgeline wound up nicely and organized, but how do I tie it together? 2 different ways that I like to do things. One is this recent thing I found, is this toggle system, and I'll show that to you. How I did this was sent to me by a YouTube friend who saw this on YouTube and sent me the video that showed me how to make this. I like this. This is decent. This is fun, and it works. But I have another way that I like to tie things together, especially like this. Now, I'm not saying I created this, because I didn't. I will say that I've never seen anybody else do this. I have not seen this before. Now, I'm not saying somebody else hasn't done it. I'm just saying that I've never seen someone else do this. So this is how another thing that I like to use when I'm tying things together. So here's the second way I like to do it. So I've got a piece of 2 foot, 24-inch piece of cordage, place them together, make my loop, tie it, make an oversized pressing basically. I got my loop like this. Now, all I'm going to do is take my cordage, and I'm going to make a pressing knot. 1, 2, and then tie it down. There. So I use a pressing knot as a knot to secure and tie things down. Just like that. It works really, really well. Or, again, I can use this toggle system. Simply just take the toggle, take my cordage around, put my toggle through the loop, and then just tighten. And that works well as also. So there's 2 different tie down systems that I like to use. This one works really well. This one here works really well as also, and this one gives me more pressing knots pressing cordage that I can use on ridge lines if I need it, and they're larger. So practice both of those and decide which way you like best, or use a little bit of both of them.